Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channels. They are the top stories of our edition tonight. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, inaugurated today in League on the first workshop Luban, the first in Africa. Also, the head of state presiding anniversary ceremony of military hospitals, accompanied with the first lady. On continental news in Gaza, where Palestinian seekers killed in and tensions near in Gaza. Welcome if you join us, and the details of our news are in the framework of the Djibouti-China Corporation. Professional training was now honored at the League. The first Luban workshop in Africa has just been inaugurated this morning within the industrial and commercial high school of Djibouti. In fact, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, inaugurated the first Luban workshop center for the railway trade. It's the first of its kind in the continent to provide vocational training for young technical high school students. Luban workshop was created in 2016 for the first time by the Chinese municipality of Tianjin. It will serve as a regional technical platform dedicated to the training and rail transport trades. Luban workshop in Djibouti will serve the railway line between Djibouti and Addis Ababa. Its first phase Luban workshop will provide for training specialty. When the President arrived in the high school, he was accompanied by the First Lady, Mrs. Khadra Mahmoud Haid, the Operations and Railway Management, Engineering and Railway Technology, as well as International Trade and Logistic Management. Teaching will be taught by the professor from Tianjin University. This center has 4 rooms and a teaching area of railway specialties, as well as 3 university and area for commercial specialty. The ceremony was chaired by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, in the presence of the First Lady, as well as a member of the government and a strong Chinese delegation of the Chinese company CCACC, specializing in civil engineering and constructions. The ambassador of Djibouti as well participated at that event. Luban workshop will contribute to the economic development of Djibouti, and the proposed teaching is international complement.
Gesi haul karahe odana handorano hede samo abo haybadiyo karamadu wawa ibo ilahaye ada hilika gomaro yaqaan haul kasto adage hayin lagu padadatiyo gesi haul karahe hagaagiyo dhismaha heerka sare gaadhay haddeed inay saboonnimo hadhaa loo xaloosiyaye habardobireedo hogaan haybad la tahaye himilooyinkaagii ilaa kuma hungaysi waddankeena hana qaaday iyo horumarkan gaadhnay dhaqaalaha hagaagiyo dhismaha heerka sare gaadhay caddeed inay saboolnimo hadhaa loo xaloosiyaye habardoobiree hoggaan haybad la tahaye himilooyinkaagii ira kuma hungaysiine afrikada iswada haysatiyo eeyadowga qiiqaya halistiyo coladaha waqtigan caalamka hadheeyey hirarkani ahaa siyaasadaha ee lagu hallaabayo bal adiga mooye nin kale ma hor istaageene ada hilinka loo maro yaqaan hawl kastoo adage haytalada oo horay u soco waa laga hadhay afrikada iswada haysatiyo eeyadowga qiiqaya halistiyo coladaha waqtigan caalamka hadheeyey hirarkani ahaa siyaasadaha ee lagu hallaabayo bal adiga mooye nin kale ma hor istaageene ada hilinka loo maro yaqaan hawl kastoo adage haytalada oo horay u soco waa laga.
After that, the Minister of Education, Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, has handed to the Director General of the Tianjin Education Committee, Mr. Hu Zhongwu, the validations of railway specialties and professional bachelor degree. At the same time, the chairman of the China University of Railway Technology, Yu Zhongwu, handed the teacher training manual and the student training programs of 2 classes of training in railway operations and management and in engineering and railway technology, the head of the industrial and commercial high school. Chinese ambassador say in his speech that the Luban workshop are rooted in the history of the country and its collectivity, consciousness and identity in its own right. This workshop is the symbol of cooperation between our 2 countries. Tianjin Professional University president also pointed out the Luban workshop are not only a one-way education provider but also a 2-way exchange, such as students exchange and mutual recognitions of academic qualification. In the near future, where trained Djiboutian professional will be able to look for job opportunities in China and vice versa. The Prime Minister in turn, Mr. Mahmoud, in turn recalled that this workshop Luban finds its place. The Minister of Menfop stressed the importance in the industrial commercial high school. He said it was a project launched by the government to provide advanced technical and vocational training to promote modern reforms of vocational education to strengthen collaborations between vocational schools. The minister also said that the primary objective is to provide vocational training to Djiboutian youth to promote innovations and entrepreneurship among young people. In his turn, the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, in his speech stressed that the youth is the human capital to build the world of tomorrow, building a new social contract to meet the global challenges in context evaluation. He said that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure for me to be here today at the Industrial and Commercial High School of Djibouti and share the joy of this inauguration with all these students and teachers. It's the opportunity for me to share with you also some perspectives. First of all, I would like to talk about these high schools that deliver us with its story. It has kept a special place in our heart and minds at the beginning, not understood in its choice in the educational system. It was wrongly perceived as a secondary voice in front of other generalists were. Thanks to the seriousness and the quality and the relevance and the qualification which has been able to offer to these peoples. The school is one the way of becoming the first institutions for the insertions of the pupils and the quality of the most student information, but also that this is the reason why workshops such as the Luban illustrated my words. First in Africa, it aims with these tools qualities offer information on the field of logistics and particularly rail transport that which meets our ambitions is to develop our infrastructure in our country, and it's included in various areas of the airport, railroad, ports. This is why my government is investing heavily in infrastructure development in our country.
Mon gouvernement investit massivement dans la revalorisation des filières professionnelles. Chacun le sait désormais, le puissant atout de notre pays est sa position géographique stratégique qui lui permet de développer des segments d'activité tels que le transport et la.
In his second part of his speech, the head of state emphasized the role played by education. He said that education plays innovation, which in turn is at the heart of a new model of Djiboutian growth. He said that in the face of international competition, the way to evaluate resides therefore the qualification of our employees and therefore in the high levels of training from our youth. A more efficient school is a school by training and the development of the potential of each is to build with the student a professional project which above all a project of lives. It's a chain that must be evaluated to build a better youth trained in this global competition. The government's strategy is to promote job-rich competitiveness based on economic transformations that provide an interactive logistic platform for regional and global business. Therefore, is it in our interest to position ourselves as a creator of values and to participate in the inventions of the world of tomorrow. The Minister of National Education and Professional Training in a role played is eminent and decisive in terms of training and human capitals. It's therefore important to remain in the first position to meet the needs of the labor market, not only local but also regional and international. From engineering and intelligence training, scalable regions for education and performance with the demanding national and economic evaluation social. This project Luban testified also the close collaborations between Djibouti and China in favor of development and always in the spirit of win-win economic partnership. I would like to thank those who grow and make sure to continue this effort and trust their choice in investment in Djibouti.
Toujours dans l'esprit de ce partenariat économique gagnant-gagnant. Je voudrais ici remercier tous ceux qui y contribuent à le faire fructifier et qui font confiance à notre République dans le choix de leur investissement. Je vous remercie.
When the speech ended, the head of state, Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gele, visited the workshop Luban Composed Room equipped with new materials for commerce, but also logistics. This workshop aims to provide professionals training to local staff so that it can work in companies in line with the labor market. At the end of this visit, the President of the Republic signed the guest book of the school, followed by a family photos.
iyo halkan lagu abuuraya oo lagu barayaa wax oo tababarka lagu siinaya oo laga dhigaya dadka ayaguna macallimiin noqon doon taas weeyaan arintu aad baan yani soo dhaweynaynaa dawladda Shiin ee saaxiibka anahay iyo dadka ay yani soo dirtay oo safiirkuna uu madax ka yahay aad baan ugu mahadnaqaynaa waxaan leenahay caruurteennana maanta fursad baad haysataane ka faa'iideysta.
It was the birthday of the military hospital Umar Hassan al-Bashir, a colorful ceremony under the aegis of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gil, accompanied by the First Lady and the President of the National Union of Djiboutian Women, Mrs. Khadra Mahmoud Haid, was held this morning. Upon his arrival, the head of state, Mr. Ismail Umar Gil, received the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdan, and the Chief of the General Staff of Army, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. On the menu, Djibouti National Anthem, Troop Review, Honor Guard, Red Carpet, the bouquet of flowers. Everything has been deployed with meticulousness and professionalism. Once back in the tent, the ceremony began with the reading of the Holy Quran. During his speech, the colonel presented the great achievement of the hospital since its creation. That is to say, to ensure the health of all the corps of the army, but also all Djiboutian citizens. After the speech of Colonel Major Ahmed Hassan Boulali, a video on the great achievement of the hospital was projected on the record of people carried for a year in all area of medicine campaign and above all the establishment of advanced medical device in case of massive inflow of wounded. Colonel Nigad Fathi gave a presentation of the newly equipment building. Once finished, the President of the Republic has a guided tour of the new extensions, respectively specialized Babylon of endoscopy services, a new cardiology department, and a coronarography department. With this all new equipment, both are called to meet the expectations of soldiers and of our army forces and their family for quality medical services. This event brought together all the members of the government, parliamentarians, representative of the diplomatic corps and international organization accredited to the country, and civilian and military personality. And finally, this day ended with a refresh offered by the High Military Command. This moment of relaxation had vibrated to the rhythm of the sound and melodies interpreted by the group of artists of the army force known the Harbi. During an interview, the president stressed that the army worked for three and provided considerable effort, and all this effort allowed that the hospital managed to be autonomous in various specialties such as cardiology and general. As we have seen today, he added there are efforts that have been made, and the hospital have invested in this staff who are taking training both inside and outside the country, and all thanks to the leader from the beginning, army of the hospital and the general of the army. And this work will spare people from outside to receive care abroad.
in laga haqabtiri karayo dalka dhoof badan iyo kharash badan oo wadana kale imika loola ordo in halkan lagu sameyn karayo. guushaana waxa soo hooyay waragan ee ka shaqeynaya arrinkaasi iyo taliyaha ciidamada.
Minister of Defense highlighted the importance of training future work and qualified in so many areas. He finally urged to young generation to give their best not to miss this opportunity and to take full advantage of it. The Minister Delegate for Trade, Mr. Hassan Hamad Ibrahim, undertook a working visit from 23 to 27 March in Geneva to meet with the senior official UN agencies and others multilateral partnership. This workshop responsible of the implementation of the trade policy, the various interviews conducted by the minister focused inter alia on the ways and means to strengthen the cooperation's relations and between the Republic of Djibouti and this international organization in charge of promotions international trade. The main objectives of the minister's missions is one hand to bring international levels the reform undertaken by the Republic in the field of trade policy, in particular the standardizations, and the other hand built a strong partnership with the agencies of the national standardizations, the international organization in charge of standardizations and the development quality infrastructure, including the international organizations, the International Electronical Commission, the United Nations Organization for Industrial Development, the Secretary of Youth and Sport Hassan Mohammed Kamel today received at his ministerial cabinet the ambassador of Alman of Federal Republic of Germany in Djibouti, Mrs. Anke. The importance of this meeting, which took place in the presence of these collaborations of the Secretary of State, immediately focused on the excellent bilateral cooperation relationship that united the two countries. Mrs. Holstein first of all thanked the head of state, the minister, for the receptions he received and told him about his unconditional support in general and more especially for running and delivering. She then referred to a number of points on his and out of the future collaboration between the two institutions. As for the Secretary of Youth, he thanked the ambassador for her visit and submitted her exceptions regarding the future partnership relating, among others, to the capacity building of technical and football federations and the ways and means to provide a favorable and adapt space for promotion and development people with special needs. The post office in Djibouti received yesterday morning a donation of motorcycle for the factors. The donation was offered by the Turkish Post Office and the TICA, Turkish Corporation and Development Agency. The reception ceremony saw the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Communication, the Turkish Ambassador in Djibouti, the directors of TICA and the Postmaster of Djibouti. The bikes granted by the Turkish Corporation are 6 and it will undoubtedly strengthen the commendable work that the Post of Djibouti for our citizens to deliver or distribute parcels, letters or other in a very short period of time. The Secretary General of the Minister of Communication thanked in his speech the agency TICA and the Post of Turkey and the commendable prestige of giving motorcycles of the Post of Djibouti, and recall that the Djibouti and Turkey maintain secular and historical relations. And now let's move on international news. After the devastating Hurricane Idai and deadly floods, Mozambique is facing a beginning of cholera epidemic in Pera and surrounding area. 5 cases were confirmed by the authorities. Measures are in place to limit the impact of cholera. 1 million doses of vaccines must arrive this weekend in the region, but the epidemic was inevitable given the stagnant water and promiscuity in the center accommodation where the survivors pile up. It has killed nearly 500 people and left hundreds of thousands homeless. In addition to cholera and diarrhea, stagnant water, poor sanitation and difficulties in the drinking water supply increase the risk of the malaria. A Palestinian rescuer was killed on Wednesday by Israel fire near Bethlehem in the occupied West Bank. The 17-year-old was working for a Palestinian NGO. He was mortally wounded while trying to treat people injured in clash between protesters and Israeli forces in a refuge camp. The World Health Organization has strongly condemned the death of this rescuer. Clash also occurred near Ramallah. A student from the Palestinian Bir Zaid University threw stones at Israeli soldiers who responded with tear gas. Palestinian demonstrators want to denounce an Israeli army raid on the university. Here we arrive at the end of these news editions. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.